Wednesday, there's a big fundraiser at the high school. There's a hypnotist.
Tuesday?
It hypnotized me to believe in
The day on the Hill is the 27th. I will be attending that, but that's during the day.
What's the 26th, the Tuesday night?
The 26th is a Monday, the 27th is a Tuesday.
What do people think about the 27th,
Well,
Tuesday?
26th, we'll have a school committee meeting, right, you said?
Right.
Yeah,
I can do the 27th.
27th?
27th?
I can do any day that
I can do
week.
the 27th.
Cliff?
I'm open that night.
March 27th?
Fine.
Okay.
6:30? Carl, are you available that
Yes.
night? Okay. 6:30,
All right.
March 27th.
When's our next finance planning team meeting?
That is finance planning team.
It's March.
It's not February. No, it's March. FPT, let me find out.
30th, I think.
Is it the 30th?
Is it the 30th? I was hoping it was
It is.
the
It is
30th.
the 30th.
March
So we
30th?
would be meeting prior to that.
And I think it was a conflict with some schedules. What I was gonna say is we were gonna report to you guys on,
Should we wait for the week
the
after?
27th. Well, we have the,
Doesn't make sense to really have a workshop meeting if we don't have any
Yeah.
further information on,
well, we could do one of two things. I suppose we could try to change the finance planning team meeting, or we could just put the workshop right after the March 30th finance planning team meeting, so we'll have updated revenue figures.
April 3rd?
The public meeting
Is
is
April
April 9th.
9th, yeah.
Or we have no choice. You have to move up to finance, maybe.
wow.
Is it even possible to move that meeting?
I believe the finance planning team meeting was placed there after
I think there was a lot of discussion about people's schedules.
the election and.
All right, why don't we do this? Why don't we set tentatively then, I think everyone's in agreement. They would like to have the workshop after the financial planning.
Makes sense.
What
Meeting.
public meeting is the 9th, our public budget?
Yeah, the
Public
one we
budget
usually have.
meeting is scheduled
So that
for the
means
9th.
we're not gonna be able to have a school committee meeting between the workshop. I'd like to have a regular school committee meeting between the workshop and the workshop's open, but it won't be televised.
All right.
And if we don't have a school committee meeting before that,
Let's do this then. Let's see if we can schedule a workshop a little bit earlier in the month, okay?
Yeah.
To deal with the budget, get people's thoughts and ideas. Then what we'll do is we'll have a second one right after the financial planning team meeting and before the public hearing on the budget.
Okay.
And that'll give us an opportunity to incorporate at that second budget meeting what we found out from the financial planning team, and we can set some priorities at the first budget.
So if I'm understanding Mel correctly, you want a budget workshop prior to the school committee on the 26th?
yes.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to have a regular school committee meeting after the workshop meeting to
The
discuss.
19th, I'm not here.
And Michael is not here the week of the 19th.
Um,
13th?
The week of the 12th, we could do it the night, we just scheduled a meeting for the 13th.
We did?
Well, the evaluation subcommittee did.
15th?
We'll move that. That's not as
Okay.
high of a priority.
That's fine,
Okay,
fine.
for now, let's schedule for the 13th, okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Of what
March
month?
13th.
March.
I can do it, but I'll have to
March 13th?
beg off on another meeting.
Don't tell me you're
Or
working.
15th.
Mel.
March 15th
15th
is
is
a Thursday.
Good.
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's
The
the
only
Ides of
day I
March.
can't do it is the 17th.
Yeah, because, well, that's a
All right,
Saturday.
So
I
we've
don't.
settled the
That's-
15th at 6:30.
That's the Ides of March. Are we doing it on the Ides of March?
That's
I don't
fine.
mind.
May be
That's fine.
appropriate. At 2
That
mil.
means the evaluation.
We can go forward.
We can go
Okay.
forward with evaluation. And that will be at 6:30. March 15th, and that'll be our budget workshop.
All right,
And are you going to want pizza again?
Caviar, maybe?
Garden salad.
Garden salad instead?
No, I want a
Oh.
garden salad.
All right, I'll ask, I'll put a
You're going
menu
to
out and I'll
Mario's?
ask you to order off the menu.
all right, let's do that, yeah, we can do that
Okay,
later.
thank you.
Okay.
I just have to remind myself.
Any further discussion on the budget, or we're gonna wait till the workshop?
I'm gonna wait because I don't want to get yelled at again.
All right,
I
good,
don't either.
good. Next item on the agenda is the 2012-2013 school calendar
Not approved,
discussion.
no.
And I'm gonna ask the superintendent to present to us the draft of the calendar for
So
next
what you
year.
have in your packet is a draft. Tonight is for the purpose of discussion. I'd like to just take you through what you see.
Oh, I got it.
So in the school calendar, the administrative council participated in the development of this draft calendar and would like the committee to consider the options that have been included. Students would start on Wednesday, September 5th. You can see that Labor Day is very early in September for the upcoming school year. Labor Day will be the 3rd of September.
Yep.
The 4th of September would be the Welcome Back and Building Meetings Day for faculty and staff. That would be Tuesday, September 4th. So students would start on Wednesday, September 5th. The first full professional development day would take place on Friday, October 5th, and the second full professional development day would take place on Wednesday, January 2nd. There are 4 early release days for the purpose of professional development built in again to this calendar that replicates what you approved for this school year. Those early release dates are October 26th, February 1st, March 1st, and May 3rd. And just behind the schedule, this draft calendar, you'll see the start times and the dismissal times for each of the schools. This next school year is the year where the elementary schools switch the start times. The Batchelder School has been the late start school for 2 years. The history in this district has been every 2 years those elementary times switch. So the Hood School and the Little School would be the late start times for next year, and the batch would move to the early start time. And the reason for this switch has to do with busing. We have tiered busing in North Reading. And so one tier of buses will go to the Batchelder School at 8:30, and the second tier of the elementary would be at 8:55. Those times have not changed. They have changed for the schools. Questions on the school calendar?
Go ahead.
The release days, the early development days don't match, the ones you just read off don't match what's on the calendar. You didn't mention January 2nd.
That's a full professional development day, not an early release day.
So we have a full day, plus we have 4 early release days. And is that the same we
have
had this year?
two full days. That's what we have this year, and what you've had, I think, for the last several years. You have 2 full professional development days, and we implemented 4 early release days for professional development this year.
It just seems like the 25th is a late date, given how early we're starting.
I agree.
We had, well,
That's 100
there are more
days, 4
days
days built.
over
There's 4
the,
extra days in there, though.
5 days open, right?
there's an extra professional development day built into the calendar for next year, Mel, because this year we were able to have it the week prior to students coming, because September 1st was the week prior to Labor Day.
Right.
And but everything is moved up because Labor Day is so early. There is a longer vacation over Christmas.
That's why I have a problem with that day on the 2nd, because it's already a 7-day vacation.
Yeah,
It's a long time.
I know.
We received a lot of positive feedback on the placement of the professional development day
This year.
this year, being that day right after New Year's Day.
So we can just go to school on Christmas Eve. I'm only kidding.
That's-
I'm only-
That would violate many
Yes,
contracts in
I
this
know.
district.
I think all of them.
I'll tell you, let's get rid of that February, April vacation. And we go to March.
Well, I took a look at that,
By
Michael,
yourself.
because I anticipated that you would bring that up.
Good.
And what impacts scheduling 1 week in March are the MCAS tests. The MCAS schedule for English Language Arts for the retest takes place for the high school on March 1st, 4th, and 5th. And then on March 19th, for grades 4, 7, and 10, we have the English Language Arts composition. On March 18th to April 5th, we have the reading comprehension tests for grades 3, 5, 6, and 8. From March 20th to April 5th, we have reading comprehension for grades 4 through 7. And for grade 10, they are March 21st and 22nd. So all throughout the month of March, we have MCAS assessments.
Oh, well,
The state
Right.
needs to change that. That should only be
do.
one vacation.
it should,
But it needs to be a state, because if you don't do it with the state, it never works.
I know.
A
too
long
bad.
time ago, they did it in Haverhill. It lasted for 1 year.
Changing to March?
Yeah, there was such an outcry from the parents, the teachers who live in other districts where their kids were out, and it was just it was a
It's
nightmare.
kind of like that issue with the changing the start times. There's a lot of
Right.
peripheral type things that you gotta
Yeah.
deal with, and
I mean,
That was a
yeah.
subject of a very long thing on the listserv.
It
Yeah.
was.
Where there was back and forth and all around on that.
Funny, I
and
get
Basically, the
a good amount of
conclusion
parent
was,
support in town that would be interested in doing that, but.
once you incorporated it, it would probably flow very nicely after the first or second year, you know. But you need lead time on something like that. If you're
Yeah.
gonna do it, you need a lot of lead
Wait,
time.
What
It
happened to all
needs
those
statewide.
studies that state that the high schoolers should start later in the year and later in the
Oh,
day
God.
and all that?
I can tell you what happened. I got stuck with that because the other subcommittee member really wasn't involved, and we ended up
Not here for the first year I was on the committee.
recommending not making any
Did a
changes.
No,
study
Mike,
on
it's
this.
funny you should ask that, because we spent, just before you got on the committee, we spent in excess of a
Long
year.
time.
The policy committee reviewing data for the change in the start times, because there was some data that indicated that the high schoolers would benefit from the additional late start and sleep in the morning. We went through
Right.
this, and we went back and forth on it, and it just never got the legs.
I made a presentation on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And before you came on, there was, the member that you replaced was actually on the subcommittee
Yeah.
with me. I can tell you, there are many districts in the Cape Ann League where the high schoolers start 8 o'clock, I think Linfield, there's a
Yeah,
bunch
I
of
mean,
them,
but
where the
there's
high
many-
schoolers start later.
A numerous amount of studies, aren't there? out
Yeah.
there?
I'm an expert in child development, so no, I don't think that it's relevant. I mean, it's marginal. I mean,
Unless you're
something
changing it
like
by
that
2
is an
hours.
effect,
Yeah.
and then you add all the other contextual environmental interaction with individual traits, not.
The way we
Well,
looked
look, if the policy subcommittee wanted to, again, consult with the superintendent
Please don't do this, no.
and put it back on the agenda, that's fine, but we spent a lot of time on it. and-
Total waste of time.
None of the studies showed any
gee,
improvement in academic achievement that could be directly traced back to them
Which is
changing
the
the
reason why
school
you do it,
times.
right? I
Right.
mean-
There were no studies, there was no conclusive evidence. There was some people, anecdotal evidence, people saying, oh, yeah, I think my son did better now that he goes to school at 8:30 instead of 7:15. And the other thing was, we looked at,
Didn't that make national news?
I don't,
National news is not
yeah,
science.
I don't, all the studies I looked at, Michael, there was no,
Yeah, I mean, I did a
um,
there's a couple
corroboration.
meta-analysis about, the amount of sleep you get correlated to student achievement, which is true, but it's negated if you add other interactive effects, so.
well, plus the thing was the kids,
You only-
some of the studies said because they started school an hour and a half later, the kids were then going to bed an hour and a half later.
And the other thing.
So
is-
there was
Yeah,
no,
it's
there
like-
was
The high school,
no,
like, you only have a half an hour window anyway. It's not
Right,
like you're
we
gonna be able to
can't-
go from 7:30 to 8:30 or 8:15. Based on all the after-school activities and everything, you're talking about a difference between 7:30 and 8 o'clock.
and also the busing
realistically.
issues that we have, which has always been a big issue in terms of coordinating the buses, because we use the same buses for all 3
That is a big
levels
issue.
of school.
Do we have a consensus then on the calendar, or anybody recommend any changes, or are we all set with it? Oh, I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
would just also like to mention that last year, between the discussion by the school committee and a vote by the school committee at a future meeting, I met with the Teachers Association, and we took a look at this, and they vetted the school calendar as well. I have not done that yet.
You want the opportunity to do that?
I would like the opportunity, if that's okay.
Okay,
with the
so for
school
tonight,
committee.
it's discussion purposes. If there's anything that concerns
like
you,
the
let the
calendar.
superintendent know,
I
and
had
then
a
when,
another question,
Yep.
does the 25th build in any snow days?
5
Yes,
snow
5
days.
days.
By
5 days.
law, we
So
need to
if-
do that.
yeah.
If not,
So
you
we-
get out
the 20th.
Get out on the 18th or the 17th, the 18th.
for what
24th,
it's worth, I like the calendar.
21st, 18th.
The
Yeah,
18th.
so it'll
Calendar, too.
be a lot earlier.
What day will do you know what day we'll get out this year? Providing
15th.
we have with no snow, we'll get out the 15th?
15th.
Wow,
And it's a Friday.
that'd be awesome.
Wow, that's great.
Perfect.
That works out good. Okay, so we're gonna allow the superintendent to bring this to the
Absolutely.
North Reading.
And I'll bring it back to
Yeah.
you at a
Bring
future
it up.
school committee meeting.
Very good.
It's a wonderful
vote.
calendar.
Okay, bills and payrolls, do we have 3 signatures?
Yep, we're all done.
All right. Minutes, we do have one set of minutes from February 13th, 2012, the open session meeting. We have a motion to approve?
I will make that motion unless Mel has found.
I'm
little
not
tiny-
prepared to make a motion tonight.
He admits it.
Mr. Jervy would not be proud of me tonight.
Do we have a second?